Hey, what's up everybody? We're going to do a live demo looking at an actual hack that can happen when you click on something in your email. Now there's lots of ways this file could be delivered. We're not going to focus on the actual phishing campaign or how we would trick a user into actually doing this. I just want to demonstrate how easy it is to get a target computer to talk back to an adversary's computer. Before we get started, I want to talk about how the lab is set up. Now, all of this is going to be running on my machine. I've got a virtual environment set up, letting me show this for demonstration purposes, but this exact same attack could be done over the internet relatively easily. So as we look at how this lab is set up, you'll see that I've got my laptop, my host computer, and on that system, I have this virtual environment. Now, in this case, I have a firewall that's separating the two machines we'll be working with from my computer. I also have a virtual switch set up so they have their own network. And it is important to note here, we are going to have these machines on the same network for today's example. If this were a real world use case, you might see something more like this. This is where you've got your computer behind your office firewall, and of course it's connected to the internet. And then the attacker is somewhere else in the world, and your machine's going to have to call back to that. Now, even though I'm demonstrating the firewall here in this diagram, it's really important to note that the firewall for this particular attack isn't going to do you any good because your machine is going to be calling out to them just like you would anytime you go to a web page. Your firewall has to let your computer out to the internet in order to function. And so if nothing is stopping this program from running, it's going to call back to the adversary's computer and establish a connection, even though your firewall is sitting in between. We're going to jump over to our attacker machine, and this is running Kali Linux. This is free, open source. Like I said, anyone can have access to it. And just for fun, I've actually listed out all the commands that are needed to make this work. The point I'm trying to make here by showing the command list is that it's not sophisticated. This is not something that you would have to deep dive into in order to know extensively how it works. It's a fairly simple set of commands, and it's just really a matter of how you get the package over to your victim's computer. We're going to start by actually building a malicious installer. Now, this MSF Venom program we're running here is part of the Metasploit framework, and we're giving it a set of commands here on how we want to build it. And just for fun, we're calling this adobe_updater.exe, which is pretty common. And if we were going to do this for real, we would certainly want to, of course, give it the Adobe icon, make it look pretty, and try to maybe sneak it into someone's email or something like that. So we built this, and just like that, we now have a malicious exe, but it doesn't really have anything to talk to yet. So we're going to do that next, but before we do, we are going to cheat a little bit because we are in a lab environment. We are going to simply set up a quick little web server, and we're going to copy this over to the other machine. And just for fun, I will show you how we're going to do that. So I've spun up a tiny little web server, which if we refresh the page, I'm now on the victim's computer, and we can see we have this. And okay, now that we have the payload over on the victim's computer, the next thing we need to do is get our attacker's machine ready to listen for that incoming command. So what we're going to do is we're going to use another part of the Metasploit framework, which is the MSF console. And this is what we're actually going to use to simulate interacting with that computer. So this is just another part of the framework. All right. Now to start up, we're going to give it a few parameters that are going to look very similar to what we had when we made our malicious payload, which is this command up here. This is the local IP address of our attacker's machine. So we're telling it what port and IP address we want the program to listen on. And just like that, the attacker machine is now listening and ready for that incoming command when that program launches on the victim side. Now again, we're doing this on a local network, but if you did this across the internet, it won't make any difference. Okay, so now we're ready to launch it. So I'm going to say open file. We're going to move past this. Again, these are things an adversary would have to work through, but they are not things that cannot be beaten. I want to pause here and make a quick note. if you're using an administrator account as your daily driver, this is one of the core reasons why we say that that's a bad idea. Because if you run something by mistake, you're running it with those admin privileges. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this, and we're going to see what happens on the other side. Now we're looking at the Kali VM. I'm saying yes at the admin box, and now you can see a connection has come in. I'm going to jump back to the victim PC real quick and just show you nothing looks out of place. No other windows are running. There's nothing running down here. In fact, it looks like it pretty much did nothing at all. And nothing at all is what the attacker wants you to think. That program is now running silently in the background, simply maintaining a connection with the attacker's PC. So if we move back to Kali, we can do a couple things here. We can see what processes are running on that system. And these are all Windows processes. These are not Linux processes. We can do a sysinfo, and we can get the name of the machine, the build. We can see it's Windows 10, 64-bit, what workgroup it's in. But worst of all, we can access the shell. Now we have left our normal Linux command line at this point, and we're looking at this from a Windows perspective, and you can see my admin account from the other computer is here. So if I jump back to our victim machine real quick, and I open up a command window, and we say, who am I? See that we're on this desktop, and the username is mtladmin. If we go back to the attacker machine, and I say, who am I? You can see that we are connected to that machine as that user. From here, I can run any machine that, or any command that I would normally run from that machine, from the attacker's computer. At this point, I have full control of this system. So I could install software, I can transfer new things to it, I can poke around on the computer, I can look for other resources on the network and see how I might be able to attack those. And if I'm logged in with an admin account that happens to have the same username and password as other computers on the network, we can actually extract that information and start logging into those PCs as well. So this is why you also want to have a unique username password combination for every system on your network when it comes to those local admin accounts. I certainly hope this has been a helpful demonstration. The goal isn't to terrify anybody or make you afraid of using your computer, but it is to bring awareness as to what can be done and why we are always suspicious of software and what's being installed on a machine, because this type of package can actually be embedded in all kinds of other things, and when you install it, this comes along with it. So we really want to be aware of the things we're installing and what those things are for. So if we ever slow you down because we're not sure what something is, it's because we want to check it out and make sure it's safe before you install it. If you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to us. Be happy to talk to you about it. If there's anything we can do to provide support for you, let us know. We'll take a look at your environment, see what we can do, and we'll get it locked down.